I'm Michael.
And today we have the Ark Nova.
Yep. Now, you set the bar really high for this game.
I did.
You said, Michael, you're going to love this game. It's going to be the best. And usually whenever she says that, I'm like, I don't know. And usually those games go whoosh right under that bar.
I was pretty confident about this, though.
This one? Yeah, you got it right.
I whacked you in the face with a bar.
You did. You had a squall in the face. No, actually, the bar was right on target.
Yeah.
And this game went right over that bar. And it was good.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's been the talk of the town. In case you haven't heard of it, it's been everywhere for the past several months. Everybody's been wanting to play it. It hit a lot of people's favorite game of the year last year. I mean, it's been all over.
It was at the BGG Con Hot Games Room, and everyone was wanting to play it. And you have been told to not play it 4 players on your first game.
Yeah.
And so you avoided playing it at BGG Con for that reason.
I did.
But you did get to play it soon after.
Yeah, I played it online for the first play with 3 players, and then I played it in person with 4 players with 1 person learning. 3 people knew what they were doing. And
now with 2 players.
And now a couple games with 2 players, so I've seen it. I did not play solo, but I'm sure it's great.
And it does play solo, as Steph said. Plays 1 to 4 players. And the box time says 90 to 150 minutes. We'll see how quickly we can knock this out. We will be dividing up this video into rules section and play section. So if you want just rules, we will give that to you now. If you want to join us for the playthrough, check out our next video that's going to be coming up. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Capstone has been knocking it out of the park.
All over the place.
So
killing it. So many great titles.
And solid titles. I mean, super solid ones. Yeah. So I'm glad that we got to play this. Let's go ahead and take a look at this huge setup, which we had to zoom way out for.
It's a big setup, everybody.
So the board is super long.
It is very long.
So we had to set it up like that, and we would have centered that up a little bit more, but hey, we've got all our pictures on our box top and everything over there. So you're going to get Steph in Ultra Steph Vision. Say hi, Steph. Look up. There we go. Get Steph in Super Steph Vision up there. And we have a lot of the streaming monitor way over here. So you guys don't need to see all that. Anyway, we have everything set up. We are going to randomly draw some bonus tokens for the last 4 spots there. These 2 spots, the yellow spots, will always remain the same.
Yep.
And then each player is going to get 8 cards to choose from, and you're going to have to drop it down to 4. You're also going to get 2 of the final scoring cards. At some point in the game, when someone hits 10 of the, what is that called? The environment points. Let me get the right term for that. Oh, conservation.
I was going to say, I think they're conservation, but I don't know.
Once you hit 10 conservation points, or by the end of the game, you're going to have to choose 1 of these final scoring cards to keep. And they will usually score you between 1 and 4, 0 and 4 conservation points at the end of the game. Yeah. So just put those off to the side for now. We're also going to start off with 3 or with 4 players, 4 of these special project cards. When you're playing 2 players, you've got to take an unused color and place them on the first, middle, and last spots, making them unavailable to us. And that just gives a little bit of variety to the games. We also need to fill those up. Maybe you can do that while we are...
I do.
While I'm discussing. We're also going to block off 3 of these donation spots so that they are unavailable in a 2-player game. You're going to give each person a map. There's map A, map 0, and maps 1 through 8. And hey, look, Steph overhead view.
I can't reach across the table. I'm so short.
So, if you want to, and the rules even say this, if you want to give everyone the same advantage, you give everyone an A, everyone a 0 or everyone a numbered map. But if you want to give someone a really big advantage, give them A. If you want to give them sort of an advantage, but not as big as A, give them map 0. And if you want to give everyone different variable special powers, give them one of the numbered maps.
Yeah. So, we're trying new map.
I have map 6 and you have map 5. So randomly selected. You're also going to have a set of 5 of these action cards. And that is where the meat of the game is. Your animals card has to start in position 1, and your other cards are randomly placed on the other 4 spots. You also get one of the, what are those guys called? The little researcher guys. Association workers.
That makes sense.
That's what those are called.
It's got its own card.
You get one, and then as you open these up, you will actually uncover extra bonuses. And everyone starts off with $25. Now, the coins probably could have been better, but there's so many different games where you can get coins. I do like that they are different sizes, where the 10 is obviously bigger than the 5. So in that case, but the other good thing is that the coins match exactly what you will see on the board. So if you see something that has that gray, the number 2 with the gray background, it means $2.
And you'll see the cost on all the cards. It's going to cost that much.
So that is the good part about it. Now, why do we have all this open space here? Well, a lot like Terraforming Mars, we're going to get we're going to put a lot of animals in our zoo, in our park, along with special project cards and specialists that will come up. What are they called? Sponsor cards. That's what they're called.
Yeah, the sponsor.
Sponsors. With the sponsor action, that actually makes logical sense.
Yes.
So, now you will get to know what your 2 in-game scoring cards are before you have to choose your 4 cards that you're going to keep. But not before you know which cards are going to be in the market. Let's see here. It's called the display. You won't get to know what those are until you've chosen what you've got. So, as I said, the meat of the game comes with these action cards. We have randomly selected that Steph is going to go first. I am going to get 1 appeal point. The icon for the appeal points is the little ticket. Basically, you put animals in your park. That's going to generate a pier. You're going to sell tickets.
Appeal, yeah.
Whenever you do conservation projects, you're going to get your conservation points. Now, notice the conservation starts up there in the corner. The appeal starts down in this corner. The appeal is going to go up this way. The conservation is going to go up that way.
On the green track.
On the green track. What happens when those counters touch? That's the end game trigger. Sort of like Rajas of the Ganges, has the competing tracks that have to meet up in the middle.
Yep.
You are trying to make your appeal points and your conservation points pass over each other at the right time, obviously, so you can maximize all of your bonus to go past as far as you can. Yep. And then when your in-game bonuses happen, it's going to probably give you even more conservation points. And that's going to give you some sort of final score. The farther that you can make your tokens go past each other, that's the total positive score you'll have at the end of the game.
We start with a whole bunch of negative points right now.
Yeah, we're currently at a huge negative. We're at negative 114 to negative 113.
That's right.
Negative 112 to negative 113, something like that. Yeah. Anyway.
Basically, it's a lot of negative points right now.
Yes.
If you were to end right now.
Exactly.
Hopefully you do better than that.
So, everyone's finding out about their gift subs. That's really good.
Yay.
No, Mayor says add a leaf to that Easter dinner table. Exactly. So, When you place your first building, you're going to place it somewhere along the outside of your park. And then every other building that you build in your park has to be adjacent to that. So what do these cards do? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at them, at the 5 action cards. The most usually the commonly done card is the cards action, which will get you more cards. You'll notice that each of these cards will have either an X or a number on them. That corresponds to the position that it is on the track. So you see I've got the cards action in my 5 position. That means I am going to get to draw 3 cards and discard 1. Or I can snap. Notice the snap icon at the bottom here. Snap means I can snap up any of the cards in the display that I want to take.
Into your hand.
But only one.
One of them, yeah.
Yes. So draw 3 cards, discard 1 blindly from the top of the pile, and show everybody how big this card pile is. You guys might have seen it at the start of the stream, but that's a huge card pile there. We only saw maybe, I don't know, a third of them on our 2-player game.
Yeah, it's not. We're not getting through that deck.
Yeah, you're not going to get through it. So anyway, the first thing you do is break 2, and then you're going to draw cards from the top of the deck or snap. Now, what does this break 2 mean? You'll notice on the board there's a coffee cup icon, a little coffee cup counter, and it will be in a different spot for 2 to 4 player games. When it says break 2, Steph is going to move that little coffee mug counter forward 2 spaces. When this coffee mug reaches the end space, we're going to do a number of things, and I'll talk about that after I talk about all the cards that we do, because then you'll understand what all the rest of these icons mean. So, but just know that when we reach the end, that triggers everyone takes a break, and we reset everything and get income. Yeah, the card pile does indeed compete with Terraforming Mars. You don't really play as many cards as Terraforming Mars, but you do play a goodly number. So definitely there are similarities. With the sponsors action, you can play 1 sponsored card with a maximum value of X from your hand. The sponsored cards will look something like this. Now, that would mean that I would need to play this action with a power of at least 3. If I don't have any sponsors in my hand, I can take a break action of power X and gain X number of coins. So if I played that right now, I would do a break 4, moving the coffee cup 4 notches, and I would get $4. If that means if I push it all the way to the end, I'm going to get the bonus. Now, the bonus comes, whoever moves that break to the end will get what is called an X. A little bonus X. Little black token looks like that. What does this X do? It can be used to raise the strength of one of your cards by 1. So if I were to play it on the sponsors, I could play the X and increase that to a strength 5 instead of a strength 4. And I can play as many of those as I want. But notice that you can only have up to 5 X's at a time. With the top, it says maximum 5 X's. Some of them won't give any additional bonus if you were to raise the power to a 6. But there are, interestingly enough, some sponsors with a base cost of 6. This one is close. It's a 5. There are some with a 6 on it. So just keep that in mind as you are playing the game. Let's see, we've got association. You could perform 1 association task with a maximum value of X. So here's the association track. For a power of 2, you can get 2 of these research actions. Is it a research or knowledge? What is that, Steph? Give me a hand. Reputation. That's what the little graduation cap is.
Hat, yeah.
Is reputation. Yeah. The third track is along the side of the display. So as you move down the track, you will be able to choose cards from the display Not for snapping. Snapping is any card, no matter what your reputation is. But there are some powers that will let you take from the display up to your reputation level.
Upgrade it.
Right. But I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, I know.
So, for a 2 cost, you'll place one of your guys there and take 2 reputation. If I wanted to take this action again before the break happens, I have to have 2 extra guys to place on that spot. Now, Steph could do it for just 1 guy.
Yeah.
But it's only if I want to take this action again. Now, if I wanted to take a separate action, it would still only cost me 1.
Yeah, there's a little icon in the blue that shows what he's talking about.
This right here. Yeah. First one, place once. Second one, place 2.
Yeah, and you can never place it 3 times.
You can never place 3 because, hey, you have a maximum of 4 association workers.
Yeah.
For a power of 3, you can place you can have a friendship with a zoo.
Partnership.
So sort of having a partner zoo. You can have partner zoos in North America or Europe or Africa, Australia, and Asia. You can have as many of them as you want, up to a total of 4. And once you take the zoo, it doesn't refresh until the break happens. You can put another North America zoo partnership in. Is that correct? No, you can't.
You can have up to 1 of each.
You can have 1 of each. You can't have more of. Okay, got it. Now, let's say I put this North American zoo partnership on this lowest level here. Notice there's a -3 on my board. That means all animals that are from North America I could get for $3 cheaper. For example, let's take a look at this Galapagos tortoise. It's from North America. Hey, thanks, Weirdnan.
Hey,
oh, hi.
Thanks, Weirdnan.
So, if I wanted to make this lizard, it would normally cost 30 whopping coins and requires a size 3 enclosure. Or you can put him in a lizard house. It takes up 2 spots in your lizard house. But he is giant, so
very big.
Now, he would only cost me 27 if I had a partnership with a North American zoo.
Yep.
So that's nice. We'll talk more about animals here in a split second after I finish my associations. A strength 4 association would be to form a partnership with a university. You can have 1 of these universities at a time. One of them gives you 2 reputation and a science. 1 gives you 2 science, and 1 will give you 1 reputation and a maximum hand size of 5. Now, maximum hand size is considered at the break. And let me tell you, Steph always triggered the break, making me discard down to a hand size of 3. Yeah. And I would always draw a 4th or 5th card right before she went to the break.
I had no money. I had to do it.
She's a terrible person.
No.
So, and an association action of 5 strength is where you can do one of these. What are these called?
Conservation.
No. They are called. Sorry. Want to get the right term for it. Conservation project. Just what Steph said.
That's what I said.
Conservation project. Obviously, that's why we have some of these yellow cubes on there, is so it locks out some of those spaces. With this one here, it requires bird icons in your zoo. Currently, we have available 2 bird icons for 2 conservation points, or 4 bird icons for 4 conservation points. 4 conservation points moves it quite a bit. Especially after you get past number 10. You go in chunks of 3 tickets every time. Yeah. So there's only 41 total conservation points on the whole board.
Yeah.
Corresponding to 113 of the appeal points.
Yeah.
Requires Asia icons in your zoo and requires Australia icons in your zoo. These partner associations do indeed count. Also, they count for these animals. Like if I need 2 North America icons in my park, in my zoo, this one would give 1 as long as I've already got it in my park. But I'm going to have 2 other ones before I can even put this guy in my park. Well, a North American Zoo Alliance can be used for one of them.
Yep.
And I would need some other North American animal, of which there are not any up in the display. So he might be a little hard to create. Plus, this guy will need an upgraded animal action. I'm going to talk about upgraded cards here in a split second. Put this little guy back. But anything there on the left-hand side are requirements that you have to have. Like you have to have 2 other lizards before you can create this Indian rock python. It also is going to give some sort of negative thing to your opponents. So Steph would get constricted by this Indian rock python. And we'll talk about that only if we get to them. All of them are found in the rules.
Yeah, there's like a billion cards with a billion different things going on.
And a billion different icons. The icon overview is really good and comprehensive. And not only that, there's a glossary that you do not have to read ahead of time, but tells you all of those icons, including constriction, hypnosis, pilfering, venom, and other things like that. Now, for those of you who say, oh, it's got some take that sort of things. I don't quite like that. Notice, if you don't care much for things like constriction, there are things that you normally use in solo play, these blue icons. So if all of you agree at the start of the game, you can say, we're not going to use any of these combative sort of abilities. We're all going to play by these solo rules, and you can do that just fine.
It's going to be in the updated rule book going forward.
Oh,
and
nice.
It is an official FAQ for that. So
nice.
That is definitely a way to play. And
right.
I've played it twice that way, so.
For the build action, you can build one building with a maximum size of X. So if I want to build an enclosure that can hold an animal of size 3, it will always look like this triangle. And I would need a build action of at least 3, and I'm going to have to pay 2 coins per hex that this consumes. So I would have to pay 6 coins to place this into my park, like so. Now, notice that it is flipped over to its beige side. Once there is an animal placed inside, I flip it over to the occupied side, and that lets you know.
It's green.
It's green. It's nice and pretty. Well, I mean, you can still see that it's nice and colorful on this side.
Yeah.
Not just green, which you can't see for the green screen.
On the player board, you can see like all of the shapes, and there's like a handy guide, so you kind of know.
It's super handy.
Yeah.
You know the shapes of everything.
Yeah.
1 and 2, I mean, clearly there's no other way you can have it except a single spot and a double spot.
Right.
3 is not in a line of 3 though. It is a triangle.
There's
of
a
3.
petting zoo in like a arc.
In an arc shape. But those are actually shown on your board.
Yeah.
So your first one can be placed anywhere on the border of the map. You cannot place inside water. You cannot place inside rock. And you cannot place on the spots that say building 2 on it unless you have a build power of at least 2. Oh, those are the upgraded card actions. I will tell you those in just a second. It makes the normal build action allows you to build kiosks and pavilions and standard enclosures and petting zoos, but the upgraded ones will let you have even more things that you can do. Last but not least, the animals action. This lets you put animal cards from your hand into your unoccupied enclosures. You have to have an enclosure, and you have to be able to pay the cost of your critter that you're putting in your park. An action of 1 lets you do exactly nothing. That's not good. Don't do that. Actions 2 through 4 let you put 1 animal in. A 5 lets you put 2 animals in, provided you have a house for them and you can afford them.
Yep.
So, as I mentioned earlier, each of the actions has an upgraded version. With cards, it will basically, the break stays the same, but you're allowed to draw even more cards, and your snapping happens even earlier. It also allows you to travel further down the reputation track. Notice it's blocked. It turns purple, and it says it's basically blocked unless you have the level 2 card action.
The thing about upgraded cards is that you can at most get 4 of them in the game. If you focus on
so
them.
that is important to know.
Yes.
There are 4 spots on the entire board where you can upgrade cards.
Oh, snap.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right here on the zoo icon. Here on the university. And there, where Steph is pointing, on the reputation track. Now, you're not going to get 4 if you choose to take another association worker at this point. But if you take that 4th one, you're not going to get all your association workers, which means you won't reveal this top spot, which for me is 2 association points. How about you? Is that the same? Not
You might get
conservation points.
You might get all of your associations. I get 1.
You only get 1.
Yeah.
Now, our boards are different. So we have different things. The other 2 have nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing and nothing?
Yeah. But I want to be clear that you can get these in other ways. So, like, I have a spot here to unlock 1 and here.
So 1, 2.
And here.
3.
That's it. There's 3.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Unless you take that one, you're not getting all your workers. There's only 3. There's only 3.
That's what I'm saying.
Never mind. So, if you want 4 out of 5, you've got to take that one. Otherwise, you're only getting 3 out of 5.
It just depends on what you want immediately.
Exactly. So, the sponsor's upgraded action is you get to play 1 or more sponsor cards at X plus 1 strength. So, where I am now with the 4 strength, I can do a single 5, or I can do a 3 and a 2 if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You can do it from your hand or from within your reputation range with additional costs. What does additional cost mean? Well, let's say that my reputation was all the way down here, right? I could do this even if it was barely in the range. Mm-hmm. I could take this. Whoops, let me move this card out of the way. I could take this card because it would be in my reputation range, and as long as I meet all of the conditions of this and pay $6, I can take this, provided I have upgraded this to the other side. Notice it's not just from hand, it's from within your reputation range. The additional cost is 1 coin per level, and these will get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as things are purchased and as cards age off.
Things will get killed every round too.
Yes,
every break or whatever.
Or alternatively, with the sponsor's action, you can break at X and then gain 2X coins. So I would move the coffee cup 4 spaces and take $8. The upgraded association will let you do 1 or more different association tasks with a maximum value of X. So I could not do much extra with a 3, but let's say it was a 5. I could do a 3 and a 2 action. Or I could spend X tokens to maybe take a 5 action and a 2 action. Additionally, you can make 1 donation. That's these along the side. The first donation is 2 coins for 1 conservation point, or 5, or 7, or 10 for conservation points. The more that gets donated, the more that is, the higher that's going to get. Did the donations come from these or from these? One thing I did not mention.
Oh, no. Donations come
from here.
Yeah.
One thing I did not mention. If you do this conservation action, the cube that you put here comes from the side of your board, which will give you either an immediate action or an immediate plus income action. So if I were to place this cube here, because I qualified for it, I would immediately get a size 2 enclosure. And every income phase, I would get another size 2 enclosure.
Seems good.
That seems really good.
The earlier, the better, obviously.
Yes. My abilities, which are different from yours, are snapping, which you have.
Yep.
A size 2, which you have.
Yep.
5 coins, which you have.
Yep.
Mine also has move a card twice down to the 1 position.
That's so good, though.
Meaning that gives me versatility. I will explain why that's important here in just a second. There is also immediate effects of me getting additional worker, which you have. 12 coins, which you have, 3 X's, which you have, and you also have getting a lizard or a bird aviary.
Yeah, it's really good.
Is that even without upgrading your build action? That's really good. I would assume so.
I would assume so as well.
But I'm not certain with that.
But I don't have to pay the $10, I suppose.
I mean, it's
and take the build
really
action
nice.
to place it. So
that's really, really nice.
Yeah.
So those come from here, but that's only when doing these.
And there's cards in here that are conservation cards as well that you can also play.
Yeah, so if you've got one in your hand, you don't have to place a cube on these. You can place one from your hand and make it available and place one of your cubes on it. Now, in a 2-player game, there's 2 slots available. 3-player game will make a 3rd slot, and a 4-player game will make a 4th slot available. We've got all this moved up, so if we play any of these in our game, we're just going to put them over here to the side.
Yeah.
If one of them moves in, one of them will get knocked out.
Yeah. So
you'll only have so many available, but you won't have to put that cube back on your track anymore. It's just gone for them. There are some in-game abilities that say, be donated to 4 different conservation projects or however many different conservation projects. There are 3 plus 2 more available in a 2-player game.
Yeah.
A 3-player game will have 6 available. A 4-player game could have up to 8 available.
It's hard to do it because they're very hard. Has to be at 5.
Yeah, because it's a 5 just to place your cube on it, and you have to qualify.
Meet the requirements, yeah.
And you have to play a little bit of a game of chicken with whoever you're playing against, because it might be easy to get 2 Asia icons.
Yeah.
But what if you're trying to get 5?
Yeah.
And you get 4, and it's really hard to get that 5th one. And then your opponent comes in and takes 2, the number 2.
Right.
Then what do? You're sort of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
Monkey Unit agrees with you. There are more ways to get association worker. Oh, from cards as well, not just here.
I'm not sure I've seen the cards, but I believe you.
Thanks, Monkey.
I haven't seen all the cards yet.
With the association action, you can also play conservation project cards from within your reputation range, sort of like it is with the sponsor actions, but it would be the conservation projects, which look a lot like this. It's got the green on it. Mm-hmm. So the upgraded build action not just makes those available, but also makes the large bird aviary and reptile house available. Plus, you're not just building one building. You can build one or more buildings.
That's more important, in my opinion.
Yes.
You can't build the same building. You can't build like 5 kiosks.
Yes.
But you can build 1 kiosk and 1
because it says 1 or more different buildings.
Yeah.
Now, an important thing about the kiosk is that it's a boring old gray building. It looks like this. But during income, for every occupied building next to this, you are going to get 1 coin during income. So maximum of 6 if you've placed it just right. Here's the catch. You cannot place a kiosk within 2 of another kiosk. And that is shown on your board right here down at the bottom. A kiosk 2 spaces away from another kiosk. There must be 2 blank spaces between kiosks.
Yeah.
That might help explain it just a bit better. On the other side are pavilions. Those will get you your appeal points. But that's a one-time thing and not during income. The other things you can build, obviously, are your petting zoo, your size 1 through size 5 enclosures, and with an upgraded action, a reptile house and a large bird aviary. Now, it's important to note that if I have a size 3 enclosure, I could put a size 1, size 2, or size 3 animal in it. So this lesser bird of paradise can go inside a 1 size or larger enclosure. Now, I would not recommend putting one of these inside a size 3 or 4 or 5 enclosure, but you could do it at the end of the game if you had to do it. There are some of them that say that they go inside it will take one of your 3 slots in a petting zoo.
Yep.
And when you place your petting zoo, you will have to place one of your cubes if it says 1 on there. So you just put your cube on the petting zoo spot. Petting zoo is always considered occupied, even if there are no animals officially in it. Because both sides are green, as you can see from the see-through on my hand. And if it's green, then that means it's occupied. If it is an enclosure and there's no animal in it, the kiosk will not give you income.
Yeah.
But the petting zoo will. The reptile house fits multiple reptiles in it. And the bird, what is it called?
Aviary.
The bird aviary will hold a whole bunch of birds in it.
But some birds are bigger and they take up more space if you choose to put them in there.
Multiple of those slots.
Yeah.
Some of these will give you options as to whether you want to put them in an enclosure, like this tortoise can be placed in either a size 3 enclosure or 2 of their spaces of your reptile house. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of nice. Now, what do you get for it? Immediately, you're going to get this ability. You're also going to get maybe some reputation, maybe some conservation points, and maybe some appeal points.
Yeah, all that.
All that.
That's a really good card.
Well, it's a really good card, but it also costs you 30.
Yeah, and it requires a lot.
And it requires upgraded animals and a whole lot of other things. So, speaking of which, the last thing that we have not talked about is the upgraded animals action. You can play animal cards from your hand or within your reputation range. That's sort of nice. With additional cost, obviously. The same additional cost as all the other ones.
Whatever
1, 2, 3,
folder
4, 5, 6. Yes. Notice animals down at level 1. You can build one. You can place 1 animal. 3 and higher. You can place 2 animals, and with a 5, you can even get a reputation out of it. Now, when you take an action, let's say I take this card's action at strength 5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of these up 1, and then I am going to place this down at the very bottom. And every time I take an action, I'm going to move these down to the very bottom over and over like that until, things are just going to continue rotating on your display. Let me move everything back to where it was. I believe that's where it was. Yeah, that's where it was. So, what was that? Oh, that's my reputation.
I also wanted to point out that some requirements might require being next to water.
Yes, some will say that you need to be next to 1 or 2 water spaces or 1 or 2 rock spaces. So that's super important to know. And if you don't have an enclosure that matches that requirement, well, that's just too bad. Plenty of cards with different abilities. All of them can be found in the glossary. For example, there are creatures that can go inside an enclosure with another animal. But if you have one of those, it's not only going to say on the card, but the ability is going to be inside the glossary. The glossary is super helpful. Now, what happens whenever we get to the break area? Whoever pushes it to the break area gets an X. And then we're going to go up this track going through following each of these steps. The first thing we do is discard down to 3 cards or 5 cards if you have upgraded the ability with the university. Then you're going to take off all of the venom and ×2 and constriction tokens, anything like that. Then we are going to refresh the display of all of the partner zoos and universities. There will always be one of these universities of each type. There's always going to be one of the partner zoos of each type. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the 2 lowest folders of cards here, move everything down, and put 2 new cards up. Then we are going to do income. We're going to get income based on our spot in the appeal area. So if I was at 29 appeal, I would get 20 income because that's the number right here.
It's not enough, whatever it is.
It's never enough.
Never enough.
You will also get income from your kiosks. You will also get income from any of your sponsors and other cards that have the little hand icon. It looks just like that pink hand right there. Yeah. And you will also get any of your income on your pink things over on the side of your zoo board if you've managed to fulfill any of your conservation projects. Mm-hmm. And then it will be the next player's turn after whoever's turn it was after the break. So we're going to keep going that way until one player's tokens touch or cross. Oh, excuse me, I forgot to mention. If you have absolutely nothing you can do, you can spend your action to take an X token and do nothing else other than move one of your 5 cards down to the 1 spot. Yeah. Again, pushing everything else up. And that's a way to get things into position so that you can do what you really want to do. And the X token is obviously going to let you boost one of your actions. So it's helpful in that way as well. Don't take the X token action unless there's nothing else you can do. But I had to do it in my game. So there are reasons for it. Let's see. In game, whenever the tokens touch or cross, everyone else gets one more turn. It doesn't matter who took the first turn. Everybody else gets one more turn. So if Steph triggers the end, I get one more turn. If I trigger the end, she gets one more turn.
If the coffee break triggers it somehow, then we
both get a turn. Yes. We're going to score all of our final scoring cards, and then we are going to count how many points is. So let's say we got all the way around to here for some reason. On the conservation track, it's not going to happen. But let's just say because I can't reach the other ones, and my scoring happened to be like on 41 here. You're always going to be given the best benefit of the doubt. This is going to slide to the lowest spot on here. So we're going to count the difference between 41 and 31. Hey, I'm at positive 10 points.
Better than negative 112.
So that's how that works. Is that there is... Oh, is it? Yes, it's the... Yeah, you place it on the lowest appeal value where that track is. Yeah. So...
Hey, Scott. Thanks for that subscription.
Hey, Scott.
Yay.
Monkey Unit says getting a 2-point association project early is very worth almost always for the upgraded action.
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
I agree. So,
if you can get one, grab it. Now, in the game that Steph and I played 2 of them from my hand, so I was getting these and did not have to commit to these until late.
That was good for you.
That was really good for me. But assuming you have none in your hand that you're going towards, you might have to take one of these smaller ones.
I wanted to point out, if you completely fill your board with
that's a really good one.
You'll get 7 appeal.
Even if it's not it doesn't have an animal in it.
Right, yeah. You just have to cover it with something.
Completely covered zoo map.
Yeah.
Obviously not the rocks, obviously not the water.
So yeah.
But keep in mind, you can't just slap down a bunch of kiosks and pavilions because you're with one action, because your build action allows you to place either one building or several different buildings.
Yeah.
And those kiosks still have to be within 2 apart from each other.
Yeah.
So those things are super important. And there's a whole solo game section on the back of the rules. I don't think I have left anything out. Go ahead and talk with people about your thoughts about the game.
Keep in mind your end goal But I wouldn't focus heavily on that because, it will score you 4 at best at the end, but...
It's only 4.
It's only 4.
4 is
so
a lot.
You can still get 3, worry about other things. Like, you had a killer last turn because you played, got you 10 tickets, it got you an extra end of game scoring card. I'm like, oh my god, I'm done. So, you want to try and... The more animals you can play, the more cards you can play, to get an engine going for ongoing benefits is really good.
Correct. Now...
Making sure you upgrade your cards, I think, is... critical.
Right. Now the rules say to play with a face-up discard pile, but it says that a face-up pile is easier to distinguish. But you could keep the discard pile face down. That way, I don't know what Steph discarded for her initial draw. They recommend choosing 1 to 2 sponsor cards and 2 to 3 animal cards of low enough level so that you can build something on your first few turns. You really don't want to keep something like this Galapagos turtle in your hand at the start of the game, because you start off with 4 cards. What happens if someone takes an early break?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to discard something nearly immediately. So I would not recommend keeping something that you cannot complete early.
I am using map 5. There is a restaurant in the middle of my board. I gain 1 coin income for each adjacent covered space. So I can get an extra 5 coins if I fill it in. And
Steph doesn't like this power.
I like your power a whole lot more.
My power will be this little spot is active. If it's connected to my park, each time I play an animal card, I get to ignore 1 condition of my choice.
You can just ignore that.
So I can ignore the upgrade.
It's so good. It's
or I can ignore 1 of the North America icons.
I mean, every time you play a card.
Every time.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Well,
it's really, really
sorry,
great.
not sorry.
It's really great. No, we aren't doing the standard. This is the advanced maps.
Steph's real power seems to be the free aviary or reptile
I mean,
house.
that seems pretty good.
I mean, that's also included in your...
Just like that, boom, now I have it. So
Monkey Unit is not wrong.
I mean, it does seem pretty good. I have a few different spots on my board. Like, that one allows me to put a card to the beginning. That's really strong.
Well, I've got
an income of that.
I've got an income of that.
Good.
Moving 2 down to the first position, sort of letting me boost up what I want to get high.
Yeah.
Especially if I want to hit an association early in the next batch of rounds.
Yeah.
So the thing that I really like about this is that you never know when this break thing is going to happen. So you really never know when the income is going to trigger. One good way is to look at everybody else's income around, because once people start getting low on income, they start getting desperate.
Yeah, need money.
And then
the break goes and you're like, no.
Well, that's what I did several times in our game. And you were like, I've got no money. I have nothing else I can do.
I wasn't looking at you at all. I was looking at like my money situation.
Yes.
So yeah.
And I just knew you were targeting me, but now that
I was not targeting you.
After the game, I'm like, oh yeah, now I see why you were I had no problem with money, and you did.
Yeah.
So, is money tight? Not always. Is space tight? Not always. Are animals or projects tight? Not always. You were looking for science like crazy. I had an in-game ability that required science, and so I was just hoarding them.
Yeah.
So the games are always a little bit different, and I think that is what I'm going to continue really liking about Ark Nova. So
yeah.
For those of you who don't want to wait until the end of our playthrough video as to whether we like this or not, I think it's a fantastic game.
We love it.
It's not going to be on your top 10 of the month because you had already played it, but this is new for me for the month. So it might.
I'm gonna
spoiler alert! It might be in my top 10. So
no, it will. I know.
Yeah,
for the year, you mean?
It might actually make my top 10 of the year, possibly.
Yeah.
Let's see how the rest of the year goes.
That's true. Anything could happen, but.
But you know what? I'm fairly sure that there's going to be at least one capstone game in my top 10. Considering they've been in a lot of my top 10s of each month. Recently, so, like I say, knocking it out of the park.
Nice.
Park. See what I did there? So,
I'm ready to play.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Hey,
we'll
if you enjoyed the rules video, come check us out on the playthrough that we're about to do right now. Be right back.
We'll be right back.